Thank you, Positive Candor. I didn't realize I was muted. Let me double check, make sure all my sound is as it should be. My apologies for that. Okay. My apologies. So, anyway, as I said, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and if you're fortunate enough to have the day off, well, don't take it for granted, because today we honor throughout the nation a man who was a visionary, a man who was a peacemaker, and a man who I think we can all appreciate, respect, and admire. And especially with everything that's going on right now, I think that's something we can all appreciate. Thank you, Positive. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. We got sound again. We're 5 by 5, and there was much rejoicing. So, well, that being said, folks, today I'm going to bring y'all my thoughts on WandaVision, the first production in the MCU television or streaming series line for the MCU. And just some initial thoughts. I will tell you all that I watched the first 2 episodes this past Friday, and just a heads up, this review will have spoilers. So if you don't want anything spoiled, come back later after you've watched it. But honestly, I didn't know what to expect from this series, and honestly, that did not bother me. I mean, obviously, I'd seen the trailers for it and everything, and I had heard some reviews about it and seen some production stills and everything from when they were doing shooting and so on. But I was very pleasantly surprised by the show. It was honestly good. I enjoyed it, and we'll get really into the meat. We'll really get into a deep dive on these first 2 episodes. But this obviously is coming. This is tying into the broader universe of the MCU, and honestly, I think this is an interesting direction for them to go in. Because if you consider what the MCU, the first 10 years or so, and everything from 2008 to 2019 or so, they really told a very interesting, very intriguing story. And it did have some bumps here and there. I'll be the first to admit it. But by and large, I did enjoy what they're calling the Infinity Saga. But seeing them go in this direction where they're doing... well, for lack of a better term, a television series or a streaming series, because this is obviously on Disney Plus. And yes, I do have Disney Plus. I enjoy what they have on there. I also have HBO Max. I enjoy what they have on there, but that's another topic for another time. Getting into my thoughts on the show. Again, like I said, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. But that being said, what I got with these first 2 episodes, I very much enjoyed. And what I thought was interesting about the show is it does harken back to like the 1940s and 50s, well, maybe mainly the 1950s and 1960s, old black and white sitcoms of the era. I very much got like a Bewitched or a Leave It to Beaver, or, well, maybe more so a Bewitched, or maybe I Dream of Genius or vibe from these first 2 episodes. And I will say with the first episode, what they were able to do and everything is they gave you a good hook, because these are 2 characters we're familiar with. We're familiar with Wanda Maximoff, or Scarlet Witch, and we're obviously familiar with the Vision. But this is a progression of their characters. But the thing is, we don't know where WandaVision fits in within the broader MCU timeline. So I'll be interested to see if they do bring up or do tie or give us some hints as to where this does fit in within the MCU timeline. And just very quickly to the chat, Mountains of Elysium, my friend, good to see you. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate the support as always, my friend. Thank you. But what was interesting to me about these first couple episodes, and to the chat also, Chan Thorpe. Chan, good to see you. It's been a while. Good, and always a pleasure to have you here, bud. I hope you're doing well. So, but for me, what intrigued me about this, intrigued me about these first two episodes, and what is going to be intriguing going forward with this series and everything, and I'm hearing that this is going to be a limited run series. It's only going to be so many episodes. And to the chat, Andrew Casali. Andrew, good to see you, bud. And Sebas 20920. Greetings. I think this is the first time I've seen you in my chat, so welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing. Thank you for being here. And Chan, thank you. Sebas, this might be post-in-game. We'll have to figure that out and everything. I'm sure they'll give us some hints and everything going forward. But getting back into my analysis of the show and the aesthetic that they were going for, obviously this does harken back to like I said, the 1950s and 1960s sitcoms of that era, like Bewitched and Dick Van Dyke. I very much got with Vision and Wanda's relationship. I very much got either like a I Dream of Jeannie or a Bewitched theme for their relationship, and I think honestly in this particular context that works very well. And also to the chat, MB Geek, let's talk. Geek, good to see you, bud. Thank you. But the interesting thing is we finally get to see Wanda and Vision's excuse me, a relationship for the first time. Everything in a broader sense, because we got snippets of it in Infinity War and everything when they're I think they're over in Great Britain or somewhere and everything, and we get to see the relationship really start to form. But in this series, we'll get a continuation of that. So yeah, Chan, I agree. And how will this show end up? Open the multiverse since it ties to Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 3. Yeah, Andrew, that is a theory I've had as well, and I think I'll get to that in a little bit. Something tells me that this movie or this series is going to tie into Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness, which I won't lie to you folks, I'm looking forward to Phase 4 of the MCU. I know I've seen some reports that Kevin Feige did some sort of live report or something like that and everything. He kind of gave some spoilers for the upcoming Phase 4 of the MCU. And I'm okay with the whole multiverse concept, because here's the thing for me. I grew up reading Marvel Comics in the 1980s and 1990s and even a little bit into the 2000s. And there was a lot of multiverse play. There was a lot of time travel storylines and so on that took place in those decades. So for me, this is not a foreign concept. And I'm happy to see them translating that concept into live action. So and also to the chat, geeks enjoy Nerdrotica, LDG, my good friend, good to see you, bud. But as far as the storylines in these two episodes, I did love. Okay, there were some Easter eggs in here that I don't know if everybody would have caught. Everything. If you did, great. If you didn't, I'll go ahead and point them out here to you. Particularly in the first episode, and I will just say this: seeing Deborah Jo Rump, or yeah, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, or as she might be better known as, Eric Foreman's mom from That 70s Show as Mr. Hart's wife. I love this actress. Love her to death. She's very quirky, very goofy, very silly, and it's something that I was pleased to see her back on the small screen again, because she's. And hey, LDG, if you don't like it, that's fine. As I've said numerous times, and I will continue to say, my channel is not an echo chamber. My community is not an echo chamber. If you have a differing opinion, you're it's more than welcome. So, but as far as the show goes, um, one of the little Easter eggs that I got, and I don't know if everybody else caught it or not. Anyway, the name of Vision's boss, Mr. Hart. For those of you who watched, I don't know if you ever saw a little movie called 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton, Lily Tomlin, Daphne Coleman, and Jane Fonda. Their boss, his name was Mr. Hart. I won't lie, I like Kurtwood Larson Smith more. And that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, if Kurtwood Smith or anything ever shows up in WandaVision, I would be thoroughly. Okay. All right, guys, let's keep it respectful in here. I don't want to have to mute anybody. If you want to debate, fine, but keep it respectful, please. Yeah, Chan, 9 to 5 is a favorite movie of mine. And seeing that little wink and nod to a movie that I loved growing up as a kid and everything was a nice little touch. I will say, the whole I work for a company, but we don't know what the heck we do is something that is often was a common aesthetic or a common theme and everything in the old sitcoms or anything from like the 1950s and 1960s. And I will say this. Growing up as someone who watched TV both in color and black and white, the black and white aesthetic in the first 2 episodes did not bother me or anything because I am accustomed to watching old black and white movies. Yes, believe it or not, there is a period in time when movies were not in color. Movies were done in black and white or sepia tone if you prefer. And that was something else that I loved. This almost is going to be like they're traveling through time in television, going from black and white to color. And Geeks Neurotic, yeah, the What If series or anything. I don't know if the What If series has already started or if it's going to be coming up soon, but that's another series and anything I'm definitely going to check out at some point. So, yeah, Chan, Mr. Ed, and Donna Reed. Yeah, and yeah, Nick at Night. Yeah, I remember Nick at Night. Well, and Fiona Wolf, welcome, Fiona. Good to see you, ma'am. And I'll pop her comment up here real quick. I have a sudden urge to rewatch some I Love Lucy and Mr. Ed. Yeah, that was something else I got and everything from these first couple episodes was the kind of I Love Lucy antics and everything that Wanda and Vision would get into, particularly with the dinner. And I will say I love the neighbor. I think the neighbor Gladys. And can you say a reference to Bewitched because they had a very nosy neighbor named Gladys who thought that Samantha was a witch. She's like, I'm absolutely certain that Samantha is a witch. And I think the character actually sounded like that. Oh my gosh, I'm getting too good at this. Anyway, the thing that I found fascinating about the different characters and everything is they were very much an archetype from the early era of sitcom television. And that was something that I, as someone who grew up watching all those old reruns, appreciated. And the really fascinating thing about this series is going to... I've heard numerous other reviewers, one in particular, Robert Meyer Burnett, which, Robert, if you ever hear this, I loved your analysis on this show as well, so thank you. But he caught the same thing that I did and everything. And me and Matt Ambassador were watching the first 2 episodes. And I said to her after we watched them, this is going to be a slow burn story. And for those of you that might not be familiar with that particular term, and that's okay if you're not, A slow burn is a story that builds the tension, builds a story a little bit at a time. If you want a good example of a slow burn, like a book and everything, Bram Stoker's Dracula would be a good example of a slow burn story. Anything where you slowly ratchet up the tension, the story starts to pick up momentum and steam as it goes along. And I have to agree with RMB. This is a slow burn story. So, and to the chat, Southern Comics Geek, welcome, Southern. Good to see you as always. You've been popping up more often, and I appreciate that. It's good to see some new faces and everything. And it's good to see old faces as well. So, and some faces that haven't been here in a while. But as far as these first two episodes go, the story that's told within them, it was they were both good, cohesive sitcom stories. Yeah, Chan, I'll pop your comment up here too. Stephen King's The Stand is like that too. Yeah, I would agree and everything. I actually remember watching the original miniseries of The Stand and everything. I think it was back in like the 1980s or something. And yeah, honestly, The Stand, I would agree and everything. And I only read bits and pieces of The Dark Tower. I didn't see the movie. I might watch it somewhere along the line if I just want a night where I unwind and want to watch a one-off movie and everything. Although I would have loved to see The Dark Tower get adapted into its full story arc. That would have been a hell of a thing. But obviously, with the first episode, you've got WandaVision moving to Westview and settling in and everything. And the house is just completely set up. No move in, no pack in, just poof, we're here. Hello, everybody. We're the newest residents of Westview. And I think even the name of the town and everything is kind of a hint as to what's going on in the broader story arc. So, and to chat, Neon Sci-Fi, good to see you as well. How long is WandaVision going to be? I think it's only one season. Possibly. I think it's a limited run. I think most of the new MCU series and everything that they've got coming out for Disney Plus are all limited runs and everything to one degree or another. I think WandaVision is like maybe, and if I'm wrong, somebody correct me in the chat. I think it's like 8 episodes or so. I could be wrong there, but if I am, okay, then I am. So, but with a limited run series, okay, let me get back on track. I'll come back to that point in a minute. What we get in these first couple episodes is Wanda and Vision settling into their new life post Avengers. They're not necessarily involved in any hero work, for lack of a better term, and they're just living seemingly normal lives. Okay, and Positive Candor popped it up here, and Positive, thank you. 9 episodes only, so we've got 7 more episodes and everything for the series. So I will tell you, this first episode, I did love the dinner party storyline. They get their wires crossed, which is something that happens very often. All that's on their calendar is a little drawing of a heart, and one of the things I love about the show is the humor between Wanda and Vision and everything. I think Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, and the way their dialogue was written, they have very good comedic timing. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel inorganic. Their dialogue was written very well. At least I thought it was. If you all disagree, that's fine. But I thought for a show like this, beg your pardon. Sorry, got a little gas. I'll pop his comment down off here. I think for a series like this, if they're wanting to tell this type of story, humor is going to be needed, because eventually the story, I have a feeling, is going to turn rather dark depending on the situation and everything. And there's a lot going on behind or underneath the surface of this story. Because yes, we get this whole 1950s sitcom aesthetic, but there's something else going on here. And during the dinner party and everything, when Mr. Hart and his wife are at Wanda and Vision's home, there's a moment or anything. And again, this is going to have some spoilers in it. So if y'all don't want to have any spoilers, if you've already watched it, then fine. There's a moment where Mr. Hart starts to choke while they're eating dinner. And it's almost like there's a glitch or something going on with the other people. And Mrs. Hart keeps saying, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." And she's laughing and she's saying, "Stop it." And then Wanda finally says to Vision, "Help him." Like he's almost like Vision's paralyzed or something, like he's not functioning properly or whatever the case may be. And he finally phases into Mr. Hart's throat and pulls the food out of his mouth and saves his life. And it's almost like all the goofiness that happened beforehand was just forgotten. And Mr. Hart says, "Considering everything that's happened tonight, you're getting a promotion, Vision." And the other thing that I find interesting is Vision doesn't have an alias. Everybody just refers to him as Vision, which I think is also a clue as to what is actually going on with this series. Something tells me, as somebody's already mentioned, this is going to play into the multiverse and everything aesthetic of the MCU. So, but getting into episode 2, I will say again, they carried over the black and white aesthetic from the first episode. And again, they did very well. And the story that's told here, apparently they're having, this might be a little bit of a deep cut, but for those of you that have watched like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz or The World's End and everything, any of those movies, there is a line and everything that is repeated by the entire town for the children. And everybody just repeats it like they're all linked at the brain, linked together in the brain. And it reminds me of what the townspeople say in Hot Fuzz, "For the greater good." And I'm sorry, that was very, very creepy, but that also was a nice little wink and nod to another favorite movie of mine. But what we have with the second episode is some cracks are starting to show in the world, because they keep hearing some weird thumping in the middle of the night and everything. And at first, it's a false alarm. There's a tree branch banging against their bedroom window, and I will say I found it very quirky and kind of charming, the fact that Wanda and Vision slept in separate beds. But then she uses her powers and scoots their beds together, and then uses her powers again to make it one bed. And then, well, let's just say Wanda and Vision, they themselves got together. And I don't even want to know how that works. That's something. I don't want to know how a human and an android. Okay, that's just something I don't need to know. I really, really don't need to know. There is some, for those people that like to write weird fan fiction, there's some potential for some weird fan fiction for you. How do Wanda and Vision, well, you know. Anyway, but they're having this charity talent show in Westview, and everybody in the town's involved. Wanda and Vision are going to do this magic act, and Vision's going to be the magician, and Wanda, of course, is going to be his assistant. And okay, I'll just say it: the costuming for both of them for the magic show, it was cheesy, it was corny, but I can't say I disliked it. And I also will say that her costume does bear some design aesthetic to her Scarlet Witch clothing and everything that she has worn in I think she wore something similar, although it's not essentially a one-piece bathing suit in in game or anything, but the design on the front of her costume does bear some resemblance to her costuming as Scarlet Witch. I'll put it that way. But there's a scene and everything because Wanda's going off to a committee meeting for the charity challenge show, and Vision's going to the community watch meeting at the local library. And just some really weird stuff ensues and everything. But there's one particular part and everything during that part of the episode that I found very intriguing. I want to do some dissection on it. Wanda's sitting there with a group of the wives from the town. And this one woman, Dottie, who's like the queen bee of the neighborhood of the town, is like, ladies, you're irritating me. Ladies, I am the center of attention. Ladies, you will do as I say. And you almost wish, Wanda, why don't you just make her mouth disappear like Mr. Smith from The Matrix? I mean, we know she can probably do it. Just saying. But there's a part and everything where Dottie is almost like interrogating Wanda. And she's like, I don't believe you are who you say you are. And then there's a radio. And there's some sort of broadcast or transmission coming through the radio saying, Wanda, who's doing this to you? And that's your first hint right there, at least a little bit, that there's something up here. Something's not quite as it appears. And there's another part, and I'll get to that here in a few minutes or anything, particularly with episode 1. But we get to the talent show, and unfortunately, Vision has accidentally swallowed a piece of gum, and it's gummed up his works. And I will say, I love the animation of his innards. Like, it's very simple, very simplistic. He's just got a couple of little gears, and the gum has gotten wound around his gears and is causing him to malfunction. And then Wanda, after the talent show is over with, finally is like, what the heck is going on with you? You're not working right. And he's like, I know. He's like, I don't know what's going on myself. Like, he forgot he swallowed a piece of gum. And she just yanks it out of him. She's like, oh, that's much better. I'm functioning properly now. It's almost like, I'll just say, I thought it was funny. I thought his was malfunctioning during the talent show. Very charming, very funny, very just slapstick and everything, which I thought for this episode was appropriate. So Baz, yeah, drunk Vision. This is how Vision gets drunk. He gets gum stuck in his works and it doesn't allow him to work right. Good one. But we've kind of gotten into the episodes and everything, but there's 3 particular parts I want to touch on and everything. One is at the close of episode 1. They turn off the TV. You have the classic zoom out and then the credits, but then you have an additional zoom out. And you've got somebody in some sort of lab or whatever watching what's going on. There's a couple that you blink, you'll miss them. There's an insignia on some of the equipment, and there's an insignia on the person's journal or log or whatever that is or anything, and it has a sword on it. And that's for another organization within Marvel Universe or anything. You have S.H.I.E.L.D. and you have SWORD. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of SWORD, but SWORD is kind of an off branch or a different division of S.H.I.E.L.D. They different types of threats and also Wanda's looking for Gladys to show up and everything so they can go to the fundraiser committee meeting. And she sees a toy helicopter, and it's gold and red, which we all know is the colors for Iron Man. But on the front of that helicopter, again, is the sword emblem. So I'm wondering if somehow or another the organization sword and everything doesn't play into this series, and if so, how? That'll be interesting to see going forward with this. But honestly, for the first two episodes, I think they did a really good job and everything setting up the story. I have a feeling that as we go forward, the story's going to get even more interesting. And Sebas, I do understand what you're saying. It does lag sometimes, but again, this is a slow burn story arc. It's not going to be fast paced all the time. The action will start to pick up. It will start to be more intense. So I think the laggy bits will kind of dissipate. There is one other part and everything that I do want to touch upon, and that was in episode 2. That was another clue that we got that something isn't quite what it seems or anything in this series, or at least in the town of Westview. Wanda and Vision are standing outside on the sidewalk outside their house. And they see a manhole cover open in the middle of the street. And we see a guy come up out of that manhole cover, out of that sewer hole and everything. Oh, sorry about that, Sebas. My bad. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. I might have an update that's due on my computer or whatever that might be causing me to lag a little bit. My apologies. So, but it'll be interesting to see how all these little clues start to flesh themselves out as we go forward. As I was starting to say, the guy comes up out of that sewer cover, or that sewer entrance and everything, is wearing a bee suit, and there's a swarm of bees buzzing around him. And Wanda has a very harsh reaction to him, and she's like, "No, no, no," and everything basically just rewinds. And they're back there in their living room and everything, talking to one another, and suddenly Wanda's pregnant, and obviously her and Vision were able to well, anyhow. But what will be interesting to see going forward is the direction that this show goes in and everything. If this is in fact a multiverse story and everything, you're starting to build the multiverse story. And if this is in fact the Wanda and Vision that we know, or if this is an alternate version of Wanda and Vision that's branched off from the main MCU story arc or story timeline. But I'm enthusiastic for WandaVision. I'm looking forward to what they're going to be doing going forward, and I'm going to give this a fair and even chance. And if y'all want me to continue to do these reviews for as long as the show runs, then by all means, or anything, let me know down in the comments and everything, or let me know in the chat and everything, and I'll keep doing it and everything as my schedule allows, obviously. So, but yeah, I will say I know a lot of people have had the position, and they're entitled to have this position that they are saying that the MCU going forward is probably going to stink. We don't know for sure. Now, am I going to say that the first 10 years of the MCU was something truly spectacular? Yes, it was truly something spectacular. We got, I think, a great series of movies. I think we got a great story. We got introduced to some characters that have become truly iconic, not that they weren't already. Let's be candid here. But I will be interested to see what direction the MCU goes in going forward from here and everything. And until they prove to me otherwise that this is going to stink, I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep supporting them, and I'm going to keep bringing you all these reviews, and I'll bring you an honest and fair review for WandaVision, for What If, for Winter Soldier and Falcon, and one that I'm definitely looking forward to is Loki. I won't lie, I am definitely looking forward to the Loki series. I'm happy to see Tom Hiddleston was willing to come back and reprise his role as Loki. I have seen the trailer for it, and I am, as with anything, I'm intrigued. Anything so. But yeah, folks, that's my thoughts on WandaVision. And we'll see where it goes from here. There was one other thing I wanted to talk to you all about, and everything for those of you that have been following the channel for a while now, at least since last year. Most of you know I have been working on a fan fiction based in the Star Wars universe, particularly the sequel trilogy universe, or a sequel trilogy timeline, let's put it that way. And I have done several videos and everything, doing live reads or recorded read-throughs of my fan fiction as I've gone along. And I'm working on part 6. Obviously, as I've told you all, this is turned from a 10-part series into a 12-part. And y'all might be asking yourself, why are you expanding this, Ambassador? When I first started this project, when I first started writing this fan fiction, it was meant to do one thing, primarily. And that was rectify what I felt was a mistake, a poor decision made on the part of those that did the sequel trilogy, and that was Rey taking the Skywalker last name. For those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do, I am adopted. I'll give you the short version. I was adopted at birth and everything. And as a person who was adopted into a family whose family gave me their last name, I had a problem with Rey quite literally taking that name without what I felt was valid rationale. So the story I'm telling is to rectify that. But as I've been telling this story, it has it's not gotten away from me per se, but it has grown almost beyond that, because there was so much that I felt was mishandled. There were so many story arcs that were done poorly. There wasn't enough world building to rationale what was going on in the universe. And it wasn't just Rey. It was Rey. It was Luke. It was Finn. It was Poe. It was even Snoke. It was also Ben or Kylo Ren, whichever name you prefer to call him by. And I took that motivation. I've taken that energy to write a story that means something to me. And I have obviously fleshed out the characters that already exist. I have created characters of my own and everything, as any good writer would. And the story quite literally has kind of taken on a life of its own, but I'm kind of glad that it has, because there has been so much criticism, and I'm not going to say undue criticism, of the sequel trilogy, that rather than me just do another critique, I wanted to take my knowledge of the Star Wars universe, the sequels, the prequels, the OT, the EU, all of it, and create a story that I feel does bear service to the characters that inhabit this universe, that inhabits a universe that I have loved the majority of my life. And right, as I said, right now I'm working on part 6 of this series, of this fan fiction. And then I had a thought, and I talked it over with Madam Ambassador, my wife. And I said, I have an idea for something. And I was like, I want your thoughts on it. And what I suggested to her was I want to do like a live, I want to do a radio drama and everything. I want to put together a cast. I'm going to reach out to some people online to do music. And I want to really bring to life this story that was born not just from partly from my mind, but also was motivated because of the story that was told that I felt was in some parts unsatisfactory in the sequel trilogy. And I have put together a cast list for my fan fiction. And I've also come up with a better title. I'm going to say that Ray Who was a working title for my fan fiction, and I've actually come up with, I feel like, a better title and everything. And some of you may be asking yourself, well, Ambassador, are you going to continue the story as it's going now? Or are you going to continue doing your uploading your videos and everything? And I've molded over. And I'm going to leave those videos up. I'm going to call those videos I have done thus far my rough cut. But going forward, I'm going to finish my story. Everything. It's going to take me at least a couple of months. I realize this because I'm writing a story that's going to take time to finish. And I want it to be good. I want it to be a good story, and I want it to be something that is of quality. And I'm going to be reaching out to the entire Star Wars community and people that may not even be part of it. If you're just a YouTuber, or you're just a person who loves fan fiction and wants to be a part of this project, this is your invitation and everything. And as I said, I've come up with, I think, what is a better title for my fan fiction, for my story. And believe me, I did a lot of research to make sure that this wasn't a title that someone else had already used that I was just rehashing. So I wanted to go ahead and reveal that to you all now and everything. And just give me a second here. Well, hopefully you all can read this. I am calling my fan fiction Star Wars, The Unity of the Force, a fan fiction by the Ambassador. Me, obviously. But what I'm planning on doing in the next several months is I'm going to finish my fan fiction. I'm going to finish the script, as I'm calling it now, and everything. I'm going to finish the story itself. And then over the next several months, I'm also going to be doing casting. I'm going to reach out to people in the Star Wars community on YouTube and on Facebook and everywhere else. And I'm going to say, hey, if you want to be a part of this, this is your invite. Because I realized this story was bigger than just my vision, although it is my vision in a matter of speaking. But I want to give everybody an opportunity that loves Star Wars as much as I do, a chance to be a part of something unique, something special. And this title does give you a hint as to where I'm going with my story, but you have to know the entire story for it to make sense, obviously. So, anyway, okay, there we go. But as far as doing any more further uploads for the Ray Who series, what's there is there now. I'm going to finish the story. I'm going to complete it. Neon sci-fi, very funny. Oh, Lord. What a bunch of geeks. But I want to bring you all something that I hope might help to bridge the gap, that might start to heal the Star Wars fandom, and also a story that I care about, that I hope others will come to care about as well. Because let's be honest here, George Lucas was just a man with a vision, and he has inspired a multitude of people, writers, directors, artists, everybody that has a creative bone in their body to go after their passion, to go after their vision. Well, this for me, the story, the unity of the Force. Ha ha ha. Funny. Anyway, yes, folks, I get the joke, but honestly, it was the best word I could think of that fit into the broader Star Wars universe. So, but that all being said, folks, I think I'm going to wrap up here in just a minute. I do want to thank all of you for tuning in today, for hearing me kind of ramble a little bit about WandaVision. I hope you did enjoy my analysis. And like I said, if you did enjoy this and everything, and you want to share your thoughts on this, if you catch us on the replay, put your thoughts down in the comments section. That's why it's there. And make sure you hit that like button. Share this out and everything with your friends who are fans of the MCU and your friends who are fans of Star Wars and everything. But I do want to let y'all know that tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. I'll be back with the True 31 Classic Comics, Gucci Hepcat, and I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but Andrew Casali and everything. I'm going to be sending you a link as well. And we're going to be continuing our review of Batman the Animated Series and everything. So, and then of course later this week, Neon Sci-Fi. Absolutely, yeah. I'll be in touch with you. Everything. I'll be releasing a cast list and everything either on Twitter or whatever. Well, you know what? Give me just a minute. I'll get my phone because I got my cast list on there already. Hold on. Let's charge. Okay. Hang on 1 second here. Got to get to my notes. Okay. As of right now, this is the cast list. It should not. Yeah. No, Chan, I knew you were it was a joke and everything. No offense taken whatsoever. Yeah, just a little bit and everything. But again, I wanted to come with an original title. I ran it through my head. I tried to do different variations. I did different wording, but this one sounded the best to me and everything. So, but, well, here's the positive candor. And I want to make something clear and everything about this radio drama or whatever way you want to call it. You don't have to be a YouTuber to be a part of this. If you are just a fan of Star Wars and you want to be a part of this, I will find a place for you and everything. I will be more than happy to give everybody a chance and everything. The cast list is rather extensive. I will not lie to you all and everything, because this is pulling from not just the sequel trilogy, but from the entire Star Wars universe, not to mention the characters that I've created myself. So, here's the cast list. Obviously, we've got Rey, General Poe Dameron, Finn, Luke Skywalker, not Force Ghost, live Luke Skywalker. General Leia Skywalker, Force Ghost of Anakin, Force Ghost of Yoda, Force Ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obviously, you've got Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren, General Hux, Snoke, Grogu. Grogu does have a part in this. Ahsoka Tano, C-3PO. And then these other characters are ones that I've created myself. Lieutenant Race Madine of the New Rebellion, Colonel Burdett, who is a female Chiss, also with the New Rebellion. Tay Ellis, who is an Arcanian spy, also New Rebellion. Admiral Akbar, General Wedge Antilles, Lando Calrissian. And then the rest of these, and I might add a few more characters, but this is the initial one right now. Vice Admiral Nesh of the First Order. General Vorn, also First Order. Some of these, like I said, some of these are characters I created myself. Moff Becca of the Imperial Remnant. Captain Tiberius Nella of the Imperial Remnant, and Colonel Rhea Veers and everything, also of the Imperial Remnant. So, but that's the cast list and everything. Like I said, I'm going to be posting this on social media, on my Facebook account, on Instagram, on Twitter, obviously, and everything, and on the Discords that I'm a part of. So DM me privately if you want to be a part of this. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit before I do start to do the recordings and doing the casting, because I need to finish the story before I do anything else. And that's going to take me at least a couple of months and everything. I'm hoping to have the story finished, hopefully, if nothing comes up, by March and everything. If not March, then the tail end of April, because I've got roughly 6 more parts plus an epilogue to write. And then, of course, I've got to edit, make sure it reads right. I've got to go in and convert it into where it's an actual script and so on, and go from there. So, but anyways, folks, again, thank you for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed the stream. As always, you know the things to do. Smash the like, share it out, and comment down below with your thoughts on anything that I've talked about today, whether it's the WandaVision or my fan fiction. Either way. So, but as I started to say, tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m., I'll be back with another Batman the Animated Series review with the True 31, Classic Comics, Gucci Hepcat, and Andrew Casale and everything. If Andrew, like I said, if you're still in the chat, I'm going to send you an invite as well. And then I do have a poll on Twitter right now. I'm going to do a watch party for Batman Forever and everything. Right now, the poll is leaning towards Friday. So if you either want to be a part of that or you just want to add your suggestion, go vote and everything. Let me know when you'd like me to do that watch party. And I will be doing that watch party on my Twitch channel. I do have a Twitch channel now and everything, and I will be trying to do this on Facebook. I'll try to be doing the watch party on Facebook as well, because as you know, I can't do watch parties on YouTube, unfortunately, without them getting taken down, sadly. But, and also Friday, I'll be back with the Council of Ones and everything. We'll be continuing our review of Babylon 5. We'll be jumping into Season 3 and everything. And this is where the fun begins, to quote a certain Jedi Knight. So, but folks, you all have a great day. Thank you again, as always, for your support. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great week and everything. And until next time, this is the Ambassador, signing off.